It's estimated that as many as 5.1 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease. And for our next guest, it's a disease that has hit close to home.
My biggest fear is that I have a form of Alzheimer's. My grandfather and my grandmother and my father have all been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. When I was in high school, we realized that my grandfather was becoming more and more withdrawn. Soon after he passed away, my grandmother started showing signs of Alzheimer's. The hardest part about seeing my grandmother go through this for me was that she didn't know who I was. That's the big wake-up call when they don't know who you are. My grandmother passed away. It was probably about 10 years after that, I started noticing that my father wasn't as present. He would just kind of sit and stare. They asked my father who the President of the United States was, and he had no idea. Then they asked what the year it was, and he didn't know. And that was the first time that I realized this is real. This is really happening. That was probably one of the hardest things I ever experienced in my life. One of the things that is so sad is I'll never get a chance to ask him about his life. I think that's the saddest thing that robs families of this disease, is that when you want to know those questions, it's just too late. Lately, I've been noticing I've been having trouble with my memory. I started being socially withdrawn, not wanting to go out. Reading was very difficult for me. I have not been comprehending what's on the page. I started forgetting where my keys were, where my cell phone was. I never felt like I was present. It's a shame sometimes to be there, but to not be there. So with all of this adding up, I Google signs of early onset dementia. And then I start checking off the ones I think I have. My biggest fear is not remembering. I've had a good life. I have a wonderful family and friends. I love going to work. But the thought that that could be taken away from me is my biggest fear. I get to see this through my dad. Is this the coming attraction for my life? And if it is, I want to know now. I want to do as much as I can to stop this.
Joining us now is Glenn, along with neuroradiologist Dr. Bradley Jabbour. And Glenn, your face highlights, I think, one of the greatest fears when you start talking about something like Alzheimer's. I can just sense from you that you've been living your life so afraid, right?
Well, I think when you have a parent that is going through it, it's almost like seeing a preview of a movie, and it could be a movie of your life. You live in fear every time you forget something, or you walk into a room and you just say, why am I here? And it just felt like it was happening to me more and more. And to top it all off, I just become an uncle again, and she's back in Massachusetts, a little baby by the name of Anna. You know, the thought that I might never remember this moment just scared the hell out of me.